and those guys are at the top of their game. Their theoretical knowledge is unparalleled and is helped by Viswanathan Anand, of course. So he's been keeping a very close connection to the world of chess and exactly what's happening in the theoretical world of chess. That's what I'm concerned. That's why I'm concerned.
Well, again, Garry, he likes these rook moves, rook d8, rook a7. I'm not a big fan. I'm thinking that I like what you said earlier. Get in that move h7, h5 before a piece lands there. That was not Garry's choice. Garry played rook d8, and whoa, a completely different approach by Vishy. b2, b4. Wow, that's, as a chess coach, you say, do not try this at home. What on earth is he doing? b4?
Well, yes, sir, as you were mentioning, that h5 square is so important, and I do believe that after we're going to see a queen drop back either to c7 or b6. That h5 square is going to be there for a landing. I'm going to put that queen there. I'm going to inhibit your king on that diagonal, then f5, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Well, that's the same positions that Garry's been having to begin with. Those positions with the queen on h5,
exactly.
pawn on f5, but there was a pawn on b2.
Exactly.
Now, when you play the move b4, as Victor Korchnoi said to me time after time, yes, sir, pawns don't move back.
But, yes, sir, there is a big difference, and that is in the games that we have seen so far in this line, always Garry was managing to get the queen to e5 in the center. Now I don't see that happening anymore.
f5.
With the pawn on f5, this was the way that White was cutting the action of that queen from c5 to h5 so that I can land the piece there. With the move f5, I don't have to do that right now. So that queen is not going to land on e5. Very important square anytime soon. So it's a different position, and this is what Anand wants to get. He wants to get a different position. Make Garry think, because you know he's going to be thinking about his options, and then take advantage later on as the game progresses, as the game gets more complicated, and you have very little time left on the clock.
Well, the rook b4 did create a very lengthy pause. No question about it, as Garry essayed the a7 in response. But I can't but feel that b4 is bad. I just can't shake it.
But he played it so fast, it must
I
be
know.
his preparation.
I think it's one of those things that you kind of prepare a little bit. You go, okay, it's good for you.
Yep.
And it's going to get my opponent, Garry Kasparov in this case, in a big thing in time trouble, in a huge factor in his losses. f5. Once again, you see h5 and the opportunity of grabbing the pawn on f6. Or what else can I suggest? If not, for bishop e7. So far, by the way, I have been seeing Garry play what I might say is a rather traditional move in the rouser, putting the king in the center and cover the pawn on e6 with the rook. I just, maybe like Garry, I don't have a very good feeling for this position, but whoa, a5. Okay. a5. Wow, a5. Normally speaking, we say as a chess coach, don't try attacking when you're not sufficiently developed. As far as I can tell, Garry's got all of his pieces on his last rank. The move a5, to my way of thinking, is a serious overreach.
Those rules, sir, they'll fly out
right
the
out
window
when
White plays the
principles.
move b4.
They're not rules, they're principles.
When White plays the move b4, those principles are out the window. The position is completely on you, and we're going to have to deal with it as it comes. And this is exactly what we're seeing. a5, I do like the move a5. You have to create some counter chances on that side, and you have to do it fast. Bishop to e2, bishop to e7. Now the players are
Bishop
kind
e7,
of...
bishop e2, sorry.
Bishop e7, bishop e2. Yes.
Black play.
And now h5.
h5. Certain questions after a5, I think I would have captured on e6, so that you have to take with the pawn, not to allow knight e5. H7, H5, a move that you yourself had explained. You really need to do that before something big lands on the H5 square. B1, as Tony Miles was wont to say, tucking the king away a little bit closer out of the center. One of the drawbacks of the move H7, H5 is sometimes you may see the queen going to H3, bishop being captured the pawn. But right now, I would say that in the next 2 or 3 moves, everything is going to be decided because it's one of those positions that it's so sharp. Bishop E7. I was about to suggest E6 eyeballing your E6 Christian.
Well, we do have a big result that is boiling right now in the game.
It's E6 by Garry. Again, looking very, very similar to his round 1 beat. And of course.
And how are we doing on time? The big question
Yes.
is, and let's see if I can find that for you.
Seconds.
2 seconds
for Garry.
Wow.
And he just barely got in the move before he flagged.
Don't forget, you're only gaining 2 seconds in the blitz section, not
No,
10
good time.
anymore.
He's got to be ready to move a la tempo, and he's thinking too long. 2 seconds, 1 second, 3, he's gone. Did he flag? Did he flag? It's not clear. It's hard for me to tell. Is his clock frozen?
It says 0-0 on my board right now.
And he says it.
I believe it says it on the clock. Viswanathan.
Neither
will
player
see
is
it in just a
aware.
second.
And by the way, this move, Bishop F6, sets up the threat. Rook takes B4 check.
Oh,
And
the arbiter is
arbiter-
about to intervene.
Yes.
This was a game lost by Garry on the clock.
Quickly.